let's take you straight to KwaZulu-Natal. The police minister briefing the media there.
KZN, Durban and Maritzburg. So we are working with that understanding that maybe responding quickly could help. That's why we requested a special dispensation even from the cabinet today to run down to PA so that we do things quicker. Doing things quicker is because besides the death of Thulani here, other 2 people have died around the area. Of police are still working on all those matters. The issue here is got the problem of diversity, of which is not our problem. People talk about the taxi industry, they talk about politics, they talk about everything. That's not what we're looking for. What we're looking for is a criminal that murdered a person, doesn't matter what's affiliation, what's the choice of that person. That's what we're here. We have seen the family, they've raised their issues, that's the family issues between them and us. I did speak to the people from the industry. I said to them, as I would say to anybody, that we are really going to look around all issues that might have led to the murder and killing of Thulani. So we just need a little bit of a space for investigation on that. We went where he was killed in the crime scene. We do like to raise the issue to say alcohol issues continue to give us some problems. Where he was killed, we know that they were taking some drinks. That includes the other 2 people that were killed were on the similar situation. So we do need to look at this issue that we now and again will raise, that alcohol sometimes can be a real generator of crime situations, sometimes very serious like this one where we lost life, sometimes the abuse, the rape and all those around those issues. So I think at government level, especially local and all, we need to work together to say those issues of alcohol entertainment is controlled, so that we don't now and again we lose life out of this. So we are here definitely as a government, as our responsibility to look after every South African and dealing with what happened here. And provincial commissioner here were with the head of the detectives in the province, Mkobozi. But this case specifically has been taken out of ordinary detectives and has been given to the political team. That you know that there is a political task team in the province. It has been given to that under General Khumalo. That's how serious we take the case, and we hope that taking it that way, it will give us a quick response. Thanks.
Fantastic, Minister. Let's open up for some questions, and then we will do that at the end. All right, raise of hands. Go ahead, brother.
From Eyewitness News, Minister. Minister, how many cases do you have that are currently being investigated by the political task team?
That in terms of election or general?
In terms of the elections, recent cases.
Well, the cases that have happened here in KZN are 3 women that were shot. You remember Nanda, and then in the case of Mkhize, and this is the case where we have lost lives. That will be almost, how many people, 5 or 6? 6, because there were 2 with Mkhize, which was Mkhize, and I think somebody else, I think was Nyanga. So those people clearly died in the activities of politics, so there are 6. Those commissioner hand them over to. But there are other cases that where we have not lost of life, but the attacks on those individuals. There are 2 in Kwatuguza, where the candidate survived, but somebody else also survived. There are those cases. There is other case that is happening, has not been given or has not been reported officially. I know that the candidate of Ward 36, that is Guamash Hostel, is not staying in the hostel as we speak because his life is under threat. So we are trying to work on that. So all those cases are given to the political task team to look after them.
Go ahead, brother.
Minister, briefly, we're approaching the local government elections. The question is, will the police be enough to be deployed in these hotspot areas in KwaZulu-Natal during that time?
Well, fortunately, yesterday we had a meeting with the IEC, between the IEC and the Justice Cluster, that Defense Minister and myself will chair. And then we met IEC. At the later stage, we met the Minister of Culture dealing with these matters. What has happened and what we know for now, almost 23,000 voting stations in the country. All of them, they have been profiled, those voting stations, in a way that there are those among them which are low, very low risk level, which is quite a big number of them. There are about 19,000. And then there are those that are medium, there are about 3,000. And those that are high risk, those they are about 300. That is around the country. Unfortunately, most of those that are high risk will be from this province again, Gauteng, especially Tshwane, Western Cape, and Eastern Cape. So the police are planning around that. Exactly what will be the response on that, maybe it will be better to hold back on that one, but we know what to do, working according to the high risk and the hotspot of that particular station. That is on the cards. Police have worked on that. We are working with the SANDF. Already the Minister of Police has written the letter to the Minister of Defense so that the President gives us the permission of working with the SANDF. SANDF then does not then go to the voting stations. It deals with other installments, the government infrastructure and all that. That helps to release police to be on that work of election. But there will be not a single station on the particular day that will be without the member of the South African Police. All voting stations in the country will have. The only thing will be the strength, depending what is the risk of that particular station.
All right, Minister.
Minister, a run-up to the elections, though, do we have enough police members to secure just general areas like this Edendale area? Do we have the budget for this? And then as well, Minister, it seems like we have more and more alleged hitmen for hire. The person that was accused of murdering Senzo Muyiwa, as well as a 2016 ANC councillor, has now been convicted of those murders. But is police getting closer and closer to finding the syndicate of alleged hitmen for hire in KZN? It's a huge problem in our province.
Well, I thought you would have said congratulations to the police.
Well, Minister, it is 5 years later that the conviction has happened.
It doesn't matter. The crux of the matter, that is one of the notorious hitmen that the police have managed to. So at least say something to the police about that, whether it's 5 years or 5 months. He's a notorious guy. What people are not asking, not shifting the blame to other segment of the law. Why was that guy on bail? Because he was on bail after he's been arrested. After he's arrested the councilor in Nongoma and other people. KZN alone were looking after 10 murders. Gauteng were looking after about 14 murders, including, remember, the guy appears again on the case of Senzo. So that is the work of the task force. By the way, maybe not giving details. Since the task force has arrested 284 people. Most of them is Gabi. Out of those, you know Ntuli, out of those 9 of those people are doing life from the task team work, and 22 of them are doing years between 10 and 50 years. And one thing, working closely with the prosecution, we have managed to keep, I think, about 69 or 63 of them are in custody, which was something not very normal. People were getting bail every time. So, but working together, we have managed to keep them in custody. If you look at the history of this province, 2011 and 2016 was bloody, very bloody, which means while these things are happening, but the police have managed to remove quite a big number. This is God we talk about. By the way, they're across the board, not only just political. When it comes to politics, you find them. When it comes to taxi violence, you find them. When it comes to robbery, some of them in the cash heist robberies, they are there. So if you deal with this pool and remove them, a situation will be better. Your question, are the police? I'm very proud of the police, especially the task team that has been put, has really put some sense, and they've put some calmness in the situation of a very hot situation of politics in KZN.
Thank you, Minister. Just to clear it up, the Minister obviously meant the task team when he said the task force. Go ahead, my sister.
I'm Nonkule Washapa from SABC News. Minister, are you able to kind of like identify some of the hotspots, especially here in KZN, and even if mentioning those municipalities, and also will you be adding more of your manpower? Another question is the concern with the Pietermaritzburg police station. There have been a number of killings here in Pietermaritzburg, and some of those cases have not really made any breakthrough. Any comments in terms of like beefing the manpower at that station as well?
Well, you did ask that question. We will brief the person power. We'll bring both men and women. We have started to do that. For instance, we were in Tshwane 2 weeks ago. Because Gauteng is not the whole Gauteng that gives us headache. Mostly it's Tshwane. We have sent extra personnel already, both in Mamelodi and where Tsepo was killed, Mabopane. So here, General Mkhwanazi has been given an extra personnel, and he will see how he deploys it as it comes here. Yes, there are areas where there will have to be an extra personnel. eThekwini is one problematic area. Here is one problematic area. Midilovo is one. Kwatuguza, King Kwichwayo is one problematic area. And as you go Nongoma, as you know that the guy that was sentenced comes from Nongoma. So there'll be those areas. But the provincial commissioner will know exactly what's the story. I'm told that in Midilovo, about 4 people again were picked up yesterday. If it continues, it happens that way, it will give us a space to do all those things. Blessed Lord, I'm a KZN boy. There was a time where this Blessed Lord was dealing with your Imbali, with your Kaluza, with Eden. But today, you can see as you drive here that this community has really grown much bigger and outgrown the station. That's one thing that we need to work on it. You remember that earlier on, I can't remember, I was here bringing more personnel to come and help to reduce the killings and all that, of which it happened. There was a time, you know what happened in Scottsville, because there were people here who were terrorizing the community, regardless of politics, regardless of social and all that kind of thing. You know what had happened in Scottsville? That you reduce, but I know it's coming up again. We are working on those situations. Investigations, here the detective, Umkopos, is working on specializing, because the job of the police is to prevent the crime happen. But when the crime happens, we must be able to respond by investigating and finding those people. So we are working on both prevention an investigation.
All right, Minister, before we do go, we would like a summary, yes, correct? Just in terms of the messaging with regard to the killing that we've seen in KZN, but overall readiness of the police.
Right, we are going to step out of that media briefing by the police minister. Just key points that the minister has made, and that is that apart from Thulani Shangase, the EFF councillor candidate who was killed in the area of Umsunduzi in KZN, 2 other people are said to have died in that area. The police minister not specific about whether they died as a result of gunshots or they may have died in relation to other matters that he says continue to plague the area. He says alcohol seems to be a factor, and so when they conduct their investigations, they're going to have to do a holistic approach to look at all aspects as to what may have led to the killing of these people, including Mr. Shangase. As far as the elections are concerned, or as we edge closer to November 1, he says that the SANDF are likely to be assisting. They're not going to be in voting stations, the 23,000 voting stations. Instead, they're going to be manning key areas of importance in the country. And then, last but not least, the hitman that Karinda and I were talking about a little earlier, who was found guilty yesterday in the regional court in Richards Bay. The police minister, as expected, petting himself and indeed his men and women in blue, that they've done a fantastic job netting this individual. But he did have a key question to ask as to why was this person constantly being let out on bail, because as a result of that, as we mentioned with Karinda, he went about killing all the witnesses that were going to testify against him. And so it's a key question that we've actually got to ask the other arm of law enforcement, and that's the courts.